got to accentuate the
Hi everyone, this
positive,
is Lisa
feel
Davis with
it.
a short
Minus
little
the
Momcast on the
negative,
game
latch
face of
on
virtue.
to the
We
affirmative.
should
Don't mess
appreciate the somber depictions of Catholicism. It's a serious business saving our souls. But a large part of that same process and the effect of it is the joy that comes with faith, hope, and charity done right. We condole with our Blessed Mother during this month that remembers her 7 sorrows. But we know that during her life on earth, she most certainly did not wallow in sorrow. There have been saints who have withdrawn from the world and dedicated their lives to penance in reparation for the sorrows of the world. But note that they have withdrawn to do so. For most of us, the kind of faith noir we sometimes see is neither sustainable nor healthy, and it's not accurate. Christ is the perfection of all temperaments. He cried, but he also laughed. He upbraided the sellers in the temple, but he went out of his way to spend time with children, and fussed at his apostles when they tried to interfere with the little ones who probably tried to climb all over him, as little ones will do. He attended the joyful wedding at Cana and performed his first miracle there, supplying wine for the party, for goodness sake. And when our Lord wanted to teach a lesson, he turned it into a story that would make it accessible to his audience. Virtue includes the necessary understanding of prudence, according to St. Thomas Aquinas, that knowledge by which we can see where we are going and choose the Godward path. The devil is a master in taking what starts out as a virtue and turning it into a vice, corrupting what we may think is a good example of piety into a repellent to faith for other souls and a hindrance in our own spiritual life. C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters vividly illustrates this diabolical sleight of hand. We can see for ourselves how justice balances mercy, saving it from the tolerance of evil. Hope keeps fear of the Lord from slipping into the abyss of despair. Virtue lies in the middle course. A gloom and doom Catholicism doesn't keep children in the faith, and it attracts very few as converts. St. Philip Neri tells us, "Cheerfulness strengthens the heart and helps us to persevere. A servant of God ought always to be in good spirits. Charity and cheerfulness, or charity and humility, should be our motto." He also instructs us, quote, "In dealing with our neighbor, we must assume as much pleasantness of manner as we can, and by this affability will win him to the way of virtue." We learn from Proverbs chapter 17, verse 22 that, quote, "A joyful mind maketh age flourishing. A sorrowful spirit drieth up the bones." When surrounded by frustrations that depress the spirit, we can learn from the counsel of St. Francis de Sales, quote, "When you encounter difficulties and contradictions, do not try to break them, but bend them with gentleness and time." And for our own interior battles, he advises, "Have patience with all things, but first of all with yourself." St. Teresa of Lisieux puts all into perspective. "Joy," she wrote, "isn't found in the material objects surrounding us, but in the inner recesses of the soul. One can possess joy in a prison cell as well as in a palace." And G.K. Chesterton, the apostle of common sense, himself a joy-filled Catholic, wrote, "Happiness is a state of the soul, a state in which our natures are full of the wine of an ancient youth, in which banquets last forever and roads lead everywhere, where all things are under the exuberant leadership of faith, hope, and charity." St. Teresa of Avila expostulates, "From sour-faced saints, good Lord deliver us." And I agree. Alongside the beautiful images of penitence at prayer and smoke rising from a thurible during a solemn mass, it's just as important and accurate a depiction of true Catholicism to share images of laughing nuns toddlers trying to genuflect, and moms making saint day cakes. In our faith, every day is a feast day, not a dirge. Let your Catholic game face be a smile of hopeful determination, with maybe a wink that says, we're all in this together.